Hi, Dan Goodstein here. I head up media and events for the Outsourcing Institute and ERPA AI. I'm here today with Venky Krishnaswamy. He's the CEO and founder of Koopid, a startup in the AI and customer experience space. Venky, good to be with you today.
Hi there, Dan. It's great to be with you. This is a great time to be in the space, and we're excited.
Yes, it is. It's exciting times. And you've spent your entire career in telecom and communications. You were at Lucent, you were at AT&T and Nokia, and most recently at Avaya as the VP of Avaya Labs. So tell me what you think. To me, customer experience is largely broken in today's world, despite all the different technology that we seem to have. So do you agree, and why is that?
Absolutely, and that's one of the main reasons why I left that world to join this this world of startups. So digital transformation is a theme across the industry, and customer support, customer service, customer engagement is not immune to that. So digitalization has been creeping in that area. But one of the main problems is that if you slap digital in a sort of a thoughtless way on top of a years old or decades old voice paradigm, and you don't do that thoughtfully enough, you're going to have massive disconnect. So in the customer experience space, digital transformation, unfortunately, in many cases, is starting with digital disconnect, and you got to be able to fix that, right? So, and that's exactly what we're doing.
It makes sense because I'm thinking about some of the automation players that are out there today, at least in this space, and many of them seem like they're really assisting or augmenting existing contact center staff. So it's still very much people centric, although we're automating, right? So why is that bad in your opinion?
Oh, that's not bad at all. You do want to make so if you look at the hierarchy as a customer, you come into a business, your best experiences are probably when you talk to an empathetic and intelligent human being, right? That's when you're having a good conversation, you're being understood, and somebody's resolving your issue speedily, efficiently, and happily, right? I mean, that's your best experience. But you take the exact opposite of you come in and there's no human anywhere to be found. You're put in front of an automated interface, and if it's poorly designed or if it doesn't understand your context well, then it runs you around in circles trying to fix a problem that's not of your making. That's the most frustrating experience, right? So what are some places in between? So one logical place to start is to see if the agent can be smarter in dealing with customers that come in. I mean, intelligent, empathetic, high-performing agents are not the norm, right? I mean, the economics of staffing indicate that you're going to have a range of performance. So one of the good things that you could be thinking about is how can you lift the average level of performance of everybody on the agent side. So that's where software that helps agents serve the customer better fits in. It doesn't solve the problem of better automation. In some cases, customer actually prefers really well-designed automation. Especially on-the-go customers, people who are used to texting rather than talking, or using a mobile interface rather than the phone. You give them something that they can do on their own quickly and efficiently. It's far superior to having to talk to somebody, right? So that's the piece that is not solved by agent-side software.
So you're saying a lot of this is caused by the legacy and the transformation to digital, right? But so in a perfect world, if you could design it from scratch, what would customer experience look like if it was truly born digital?
Yeah. So if it was born digital, there are 2 or 3 attributes I think that represent the ideal, right? So one of that is you want to sense what the customer is there for, what is their mood, what is their goal, right? You match that to absolutely the best resource or the best set of assets that you can deploy to get the customer to where they want to go. Sometimes it's a really well-designed 1, 2, 3-click automation. Sometimes it is give them a chance to express what they want, and then maybe they want to think about some alternatives. So give them the time to think about that, and then reconnect later. At other times, it is just get them to an empathetic human being as quickly as possible. I was talking recently to the CEO of a major insurance company, and he made a point that really that struck home. Right, a customer who just had an accident and wants to report it, the last thing they want to do is to click through an automated interface. Their stress is running high, and they want to talk to somebody who's calm, who's reassuring, and who's competent. Right. So you have to in this digital era, the primary function of the digital logic should really be what is the best path forward for the customer? How do we make that path possible?
So it makes sense, but the trick question, right, is that most organizations are not born digital; they're steeped in legacy, and so they have to get to this nirvana kind of state that you're describing. How do you do that without completely disrupting your existing operations, your employee base, your customer base? How do you do that?
Excellent question. What we're finding in many of our clients is that many businesses are complex. They're multi-layered. They do different things, and they operate in different ways. And they put together sort of niches of excellence in operations together to build the aggregate of what the business does, right? So the way to do digital transformation, in my opinion, is not to try and bite off the whole enchilada, but identify the specific things that are maybe not as working as well as you want them to today, where there's a fairly clear path or clear benefit to digitization or applying some digital techniques. Start there. Let it take root. Get your customers comfortable with it. Get your employees comfortable with it, and it will teach you where you go next from there. Right. So it's not an all or nothing game. It's not a do everything now type of game. It's where in your business can you find spots that are ripe for the transformation now, contain it to those, do it quickly, measure, adjust, and expand. I would say that's probably the right way to think about digital transformation.
Yeah, I think it's good advice. So Venky, we've heard a lot over the years about multi-channel, omni-channel, chatbots have been the rage. So what's unique? What's different about your platform, about Koopid?
So if you look at the vendor landscape in customer service, Dan, so let me just rewind a bit, right? This whole business of call centers, you can trace its origin back to a patent that was issued in 1980. It has a name something like mapping calls to databases or something like that. But it really was the start of the 800, the toll free, and that's really what created this revolution, right? So it's a 30, 40-year-old industry. And it's a big industry, many big players in the space. They built, very great products and infrastructure and stacks over time, right? Fact of the matter is that I would say 3 to 5 years ago, our space hit that digital leap, and the dominant vendors who've been coasting along on an architecture that was optimized for a different style of functioning, they face the classic innovator's dilemma, right? I mean, do you abandon what's apparently going well for you and do something new, or do you try and build up to it, right? And fact of matter is there's no building up to a digital first, digital native architecture. You have to rethink many of the assumptions. People are not picking up a phone and calling 800 number as the first sign of trouble. They're going to Google, they're doing a search, they're trying to troubleshoot on their own, they're asking their friends, and then when all else fails, that's when they call the 800 number. So the purpose of how you do this is different, and so the architecture is very, very different from what used to be before, right? So that's what makes us unique. We are digital native in our architecture. And if you think of what's happened in the last 3 to 5 years, the following major transformations have happened. AI, the core of AI, has suddenly become affordable. I mean, you can run these great algorithms because the cost of computing has come down. Two, you can run them well now because it's easy to gather the data, store it, and store it securely and move it around so that you can run those algorithms. So the AI revolution is really only 3-4 years old. Two, the cloud revolution is probably only 5-6 years old. The ability to spin up an instance, deploy a container with some software, spin up more copies if you need more capacity, or spin some down if you don't need capacity. That's 5-6 years old, and it's changed the industry landscape completely, right? That's number two. Number three, mobile phones have been around for a while. iPhone has been around for a while. But if you look at what's happened in the last 3-4 years, that's when you've had these great cameras, Touch ID, beautiful touch screens, great swipes, and all that, and platforms that let you build really smart interfaces. That's probably 3 to 4 years old as well, right? So if you take all that together and say, old world, customer picks up the phone and dials, rotary dials 800, new world, they pick up a smartphone, swipe a few things and expect instant smart answers to everything. Different world altogether. You have to build the architecture completely differently. And that's where we're unique. We come from the background, we know how things were done inside out because we built a lot of those systems. But we now have the luxury of saying that, we can stand on the shoulders of completely different giants in terms of technology, rethink the whole thing, but apply our 15, 20 years of experience of what not to do in terms of customer experience and build it right. So we're probably the most unique team in the industry that has the benefit of an innovation-driven hindsight and rooted in the digital era. So we think we're one of the few teams in the industry that actually get this right.
Very interesting. Very interesting. So if I'm watching this, Venky, and I'm a service provider, a BPO, a contact center, or even an RPA tool in this space, should I be concerned?
You should only be concerned if you're not thinking actively about what the change that's happening in our world, right? If that's something that's already in your sights, you started your plans, you've done your due diligence, you've started to map out your customer journeys and customer experiences, then you're actually golden because you're at the forefront of the change you need to make, and you're going to beat your competitors. So it's really where.
Yeah, and I imagine you work with end clients as well as the provider community as well. So if they're looking for some acceleration or differentiation, it might be worth a conversation. Yes.
Absolutely, yeah. We are definitely in many conversations with BPO. We're in really interesting conversations with service providers, as in BPOs and consolidators of the contact center. But more interestingly, we're also in conversation with infrastructure providers for these service providers, right? For example, like a large telco. I mean, a large telco is massively impacted by this change. But there are a few that have started thinking about, in an era where, customer has a choice between, buying an Echo device and talking to Alexa to get something done versus calling an 800 number, staying on hold, being transferred, and 2 days later still not have the problem resolved. Telcos are thinking about what is their future as well, right? And the more forward-looking ones are starting to map out these futures, and we're in conversation with a number of them to help them plot this journey out. It's truly a great time to be in this industry.
Great. Well, looking forward to seeing it all unfold. And Venky, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Dan.